Ladies and gentlemen, big ferry news.
Hey, kia ora koutou e te whānau. Oh, Chewy's not here. When I pushed play for the music, Chewy was here. And now Chewy's not here when we come back. So I suspect Chewy is doing the world famous reboot that he does not leave on the show. So I'm sure we'll have Chewy back in just a couple of seconds. Are all my lights? A little bit flustered tonight, whānau. I was in the shower at about 8 minutes to 9. A little bit under the weather. I was a little bit under the weather. And I got a story tonight for us to talk about, which is kind of, yeah, to be fair, it's sort of a story I kind of went, no, if we want to do this, I'm like, but I was a little bit under the weather and I went, it'll do. I think it's a really interesting story. I just don't know if we'll have too much to add to it tonight. That's the one about Frank Ogilvie and the slap suits. I am being a little bit hyperbolic. So before anyone jumps up and down and says that I'm defaming them, the story tonight we're going to look at is around a client of a law firm sending kind of letters, legal letters to ministers. So there's a client, we'll get into this more detail. There's a client who has engaged a law firm to send letters to ministers, and it feels like what they're kind of saying is, be careful. So it's not, I guess it's not really a slap suit. A slap suit is when you bring a legal action against someone, you slap them with one that you don't ever have an intention of winning. You're just doing it to basically cost them money and use up their time. So I am being a little bit hyperbolic. There's no two ways about that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, just that a group, a lobby group, a group in New Zealand would employ lawyers to deliver letters to ministers because they're unhappy with something. And the other thing that they're unhappy with, you probably, I don't know if you've seen it in the notes, I can't remember what I wrote, is it's gone off to people providing gender affirming care, practitioners and groups. So this is the legal notice. So it does, it's going to, like I said, I don't know how much we've got to say about it. I think it's a really interesting topic, and maybe we need to get some experts on, because we are the dumbest people in the room, to talk about it. So yeah, it's a fascinating one actually. Also, we are going to talk about David Seymour, who's trying to convince the world, oh, can we please just stop politicising the school lunches? Won't anybody think of the school lunches? Please, can we stop politicising it? And I'll tell you what, we're going to look at the item from One News tonight, but we're also going to play your clip from Breakfast Show this morning. And the Breakfast Show this morning, he was so dismissive of Erica Stanford, like blatantly and bluntly going, yeah, I've spoken to ministers and I'll update her some stage, like so dismissive. So what I've done is we've got the One News story we're going to check out, but then also it doesn't give enough context, I think, to the dismissive nature that the Deputy Minister for Education is paying towards the Education Minister, Deputy Education Minister, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, fascinating actually. And also we've got to have a quick look at Trump's State of the Union as well. I think are we using One News? I can't remember, One News or Three News. I'll have my minions look at that. I don't have minions. Maybe one day I'll have minions. Got something to share with you today. I spent most of today putting together a entry form for the radio awards, because they are now the Radio and Podcast Awards. You know that we've had success with the New Zealand Podcast Awards. Well, in the old days when you used to work in radio, you'd enter the New Zealand Radio Awards. And the Radio Awards now have a category for podcasts. Independent of radio.
Did somebody say awards?
So no, this is the thing, Meister General. I spent a good portion of today putting together an entry. I doubt it'll do anything. We're little pimples on the arse of the media world. But it is definitely the better cheek. We're on the better cheek, not the worst cheek. You can decide whichever one that is. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is the episode that I put in as an entry form was the one where we spoke to the Welsh Language Commissioner. Because I still think from last year, that was probably the most interesting conversation we had, because it was so topical about how this government was treating Te Reo, to our Indigenous language, to talk to, for want of a better word, a white country's Indigenous language. It was a really interesting bit. But Chewy, as I was going through time coding it for this entry, I found this piece, and this is what I wanted to play for you guys tonight. This is from, what is it? Where's my freaking notes gone? Oh, hang on, they're down here. This is from June the 25th. So what's that? 3 months minus 6. So 9 months ago, give or take. And I just want you to remember what came out this week about the boats, the ferries, and the numbers that were mentioned this week about the ferries. Have a listen to what was being talked about on June the 25th of last year. And again, think about the information that came out this week, the release where they kind of finally confirmed there was $300 million set aside, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, Lloyd and our hairless leader,
It's Inception.
Did a dance, went around and around and around and around, didn't get anywhere. And so I figure, Lloyd's about to be out of this job. He just went, fuck it, I'll just ask him.
It's 300.
Sorry, that was a bit harsh. Wasn't supposed to be as harsh as it sounded. This is just before News Hub was to close down, and we were pondering, is Lloyd just going, he doesn't need to keep a relationship anymore with this man. Lloyd's about to be out of this job. He just went, fuck it, I'll just ask him.
Is 300 million the amount that it's going to cost to terminate that Hyundai deal?
How's that? June 25th last year, 300 million on the nose, just like that.
300 million.
It has been an open secret.
Again, not getting into that, Lloyd, because in fairness,
But,
that
I mean,
needs to
this
be
is
done as a
taxpayer
commercial
money.
negotiation.
I know, but this is taxpayer
Yeah,
money.
fully get it. Yep.
And this is your doing.
It is,
You
and
cancelled it.
$3.2 billion.
Is it 300 million bucks?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say to you, Lloyd, I'm really pleased that we did cancel it, because when you've got...
But are you today? Are you really today? Are you?
How about now?
I'm just looking, which Chewy am I talking to? That one. Okay. Okay.
Past Chewy looks really suspicious.
Yeah, he does.
On today's Chewy feels pretty good, because I was right to be suspicious.
Yep. Or just give this a minute. Also, just have a listen to the conversation that was happening 9 months ago.
good money going after a bad project, that's not great. And the braver
Was it a
call
bad
is to actually
project?
call time on it and say, I'm sorry, we're not spending $3.2 billion with massive infrastructure investments in the ports of Wellington.
Because the last thing you'd want is massive infrastructure upgrades and stuff, wouldn't you? I mean, that'd be the last thing you want, like making better ports and stuff that are fit for purpose and that are going to be protected against earthquakes. That's the last thing you'd want to do. What? I mean, I watch Alone, and they just build their own. They just build their own jetties. I don't know if I like that guy, Joe. He feels a bit too sarcastic to me. I don't know what he's trying to say, but yeah, they were spot on, right? Exactly right. Which means if it had been leaked, that means they knew as well, because for it to come from a leak, then it has to be leaked from somewhere. So they knew. And then the other thing is Stephen Warburton, who is an economist who's been on with us a couple of times. He tweeted out this week. I'm still going to call it tweets. Don't care what you say. I reported this 9 months ago. So that could well have been when Stephen came on with us. Government IREX ferry cancellation costed $300 million from June 25th, same day. He says Luxon and Treasury, citing commercial sensitivity reasons, are refusing to say that the break fees are about $300 million, but Treasury seems to have already revealed they are going to be about $300 million in public documents. So yeah, I just, when I was watching through the video and you do time codes, this is what happens for the entry. I came across that and I went, oh, that's really interesting. That's really interesting that they're spot on. It's absolutely what it was. It was the worst kept secret then, and then it hasn't turned out to be just a rumor. Because remember at the start, this government leaked like a sieve, man, just like a sieve.
I'm just going to practice my pissy Luxon there. Yeah. No, I get it. So pissy, because he knows it at that point that it's not a secret. So he just wants to move on. Oh God, incompetent.
And it's like incompetent doing the bad things. What does that say? If you're incompetent doing the bad things
It's
and you're incompetent
just
doing the good
not
things.
good.
Yeah.
It's just not good. You are winning me over here that Eric Stanford might be the only competent person in National's front bench.
I look, I don't actually know if I'd go that far. I think that Erica Stanford is yet to prove herself whether she is competent or not. But we'll just put it this way: it is a pretty low bar. It is a pretty low bar to have to reach to be competent or not. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So anyway, that was the little thing I came across. I thought you guys might be interested in having a bit of a jump back in time with me to what we did. Let us say, you don't know this because I'm just so professional. I'm closing so many windows as I'm speaking to you. A huge thanks to all of our patrons. Love you guys to bits. You guys help us do what we do. And if you want to be a part of what we do, then patreon.com/Big Hairy News, where we're going for 100 new patrons before the end of this month. So that's about 25 days. So that's 3.5 weeks or so. And we're up to about 75, give or take. We're not trying to twist anybody's arm, but we're just kind of inviting you that if you have been around for a while, you like what we do, and you think that, you know, you want to support what we do, you know, if you can afford us a cup of coffee each month, then that's one of the tiers of being a patron and all the privileges that come with it. Let me just say this, Chewy. I've been really bad at the Patreon levels. So I have a plan, and I might even get onto it over this weekend, to start to do things like offer discounts in the shop to different layers of the tiers. Like maybe the guys at the top will get a 20% discount, and the guys, I'm going to say at the top, I just mean who give the most. The guys who are in the $5, maybe they'll get a 5% discount. So I'm coming up with some ideas to actually make it more of a payback to you guys as well for the stuff you put into us. And also remember we sold a couple of hoodies today, actually. The merch store is open. Hoodies and t-shirts are available there. Stickers are available there. We have a brand new sticker. It is "We Are the Grassroots." There it is. And that will be given free to everyone for this month. We'll put one of those free into the order, the purchase order. If you get a t-shirt, if you get a hoodie, or if you get a multi-pack, you can go into I don't know, something. You go in there, is that what you do? Oh, there you go. You can get 5 packs and 10 packs. So if you get a multi-pack as well, we'll throw one of those in. You can get I don't even know where it is. I don't shop very often.
Don't even know our way around our own shop.
Yeah, because there's a one that you can buy the mixed bag. Like it's like the mixed bag and nuts. Oh, there it is. It's that one. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
The multi-box.
The variety multi-sampler.
Is that on the front page?
Should be.
Blind. Should be, yeah.
Should be. You want to get people to type in the thing and then one click and then multi-bag. Multi-bag.
Oh, hang on. It's the next page.
At the top. Needs to be at the top. Marketing.
That again. So t-shirts, hoodies, multi-packs. We'll throw one of those new stickers in there with you as well for the whole of this month. And I realized last night when I said this, it's only the freaking 4th day of the month. So that was a bit silly, but I've said it now. That's a verbal contract. We've got to go with it. And then next month, maybe we'll start adding that into the packs that you can purchase as well. Hey, Chewy.
Hey, Pat.
Let's have a look at Donald Trump, shall we? I was going to do this in 2 parts, but I've decided to not do the second part because the second part is about what the world is talking about, and especially Justin Trudeau. There's these headlines saying Justin Trudeau called him dumb. It's actually technically what Justin Trudeau said was, I hate to be a supporter of the Wall Street Journal, but they said this was dumb, Mr. Trump. He didn't say Mr. Trump, he said Donald. So that's a part of it, but I think we'll just have a quick look at the actual State of the Union speech. Most accounts that I've seen online, and you know, acknowledging I do have a particular bias in my algorithm as well, is saying this was pretty embarrassing overall. He spoke for 1 hour and 40, longest State of the Union there's ever been. If any of you guys watched the whole thing, I'll be honest, I didn't watch the whole thing. I've watched highlights / lowlights of it. More than happy to get your thoughts in the chat about what you thought of it. But let's have a look from One News tonight, the report on Donald Trump's State of the Union.
Amid global turmoil with the world watching, Donald Trump, in his first address to Congress since returning to the White House, says we're just getting started. The theme of his speech, the renewal of the American dream. And with the trade war already underway after his administration slapped heavy tariffs on Chinese, Mexican and Canadian imports.
Can I ask this question?
You can.
Do we honestly think, and I know you've seen people on like the Daily Show go, what do you mean we pay the tariffs? Is America still so ill-informed about tariffs that they're still believing him when he goes, they're going to make us trillions of dollars? Do you think that the American public is still so ill-informed?
Yes.
Man.
I've seen so many videos of Trump supporters. Like my favorite one is a guy that sells t-shirts and merch and that sort of thing.
On
and
TikTok?
this guy, yeah, and the guy's
You're
like,
playing.
okay, so where do you get your blank t-shirts from? Oh, I get them from China.
Yeah.
Right, so you're going to be paying a tariff to get them in? No, China pays the tariff. No, you do. And you see him work it out live that it is personally going to affect him.
And then the guy throws his hands up and walks away like, oh, just said, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I understand rank and file people not understanding an economic weapon like tariffs and how it works, especially when they've got this buffoon trumpeting it as they're going to respect us if we use this, and this is how we get back at China and all the people that have slighted us and that sort of thing. What I have problems with is Trump clearly doesn't know how they work.
Well, but hang on. Either that or he's just lying. Like it could be either of those things.
Yeah. I believe, my personal view is that he doesn't know how they work.
Okay.
And I believe at this stage, he has nobody in his circle advising him that wants to tell him he's wrong. Nobody wants to go in and tell the boss, that's not how they work. This is going to come back and bite us. You are putting a gun to the back of the head of the American automotive industry. They'll be done in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is something that I read today. Canadian tariffs will kill the American automotive industry. Mexican tariffs will kill the American automotive industry. They have 6 weeks worth of material. After that, they are fucked.
I wonder, and I saw a piece, I might even play it, find it, that Stephen Colbert did, and he talked about how the Democrats responded to this speech by holding up paddles with true and false, and he kind of took the piss and went, oh, maybe they're at an auction. But actually, in the situation where this is the setting you are in, I don't think it was a terrible action. They basically fact-checked them in real time by just going false. Like they were on paddles and stuff, but like we saw one of them get removed. So I'm not quite so deriding of that. And I want to say one thing, Donald, if you're watching, and we know you watch sometimes, this is how tariffs work. I buy 100 widgets at $10 each. I pick them up from I pick them up from a wharf and I pay $1,000. Then I bring them into my country and I sell them for $20 each and I make $1,000. Let's say there's a 25% tariff. Now my 100 widgets cost me $1,000, and at the wharf when I pick them up, I pay another $250 for the tariff. That's the tax. I pay it as the importer. Now my cost of goods is $1,250, not $1,000. So I go away and I either want to make $2,250, therefore the price of every widget has now gone up to $22.50, or I don't make as much money as the business and I keep my total number of tariffs, the selling price to $2,000. If anybody in America is watching this and you weren't aware, that's how it works. The person who imports them pays the tariff, pays the tax, and then because they've had to pay more, they pass that on to you, the consumer. Can we be any clearer? I think that's pretty clear. So yes, the end user obviously pays it. Let's get back to Mr. Trump and the State of the Union.
He told his audience America will take trillions of dollars and create jobs like never seen before. After suspending...
It does sound funny when someone repeats what he said, but in a normal tone, like never seen before, like never seen before. Kind of sounds worse.
Ending all military aid to Ukraine, and just days after his Oval Office spat with
Motherfucker.
Volodymyr
Yeah.
Zelensky, he told the chamber he's working tirelessly to end the war with Russia. But Democrats demonstrated, fact-checking him in real time, with one representative shouting no mandate before being injected. US correspondent Logan Church is standing by with the latest reaction. First, his report.
A hero's welcome by his party loyalists to his first address to Congress.
Hang on. I thought you weren't supposed to wear that kind of attire, like this cap. Aren't you supposed to always be in formals? I'm just, that doesn't look like it's the correct clothing to be worn to hear.
As long as she's wearing closed-toed shoes,
You're
I'm
right.
okay with it.
Okay, fair enough.
As the 47th US president. Democrats, though, only see a villain.
America is back.
As everything's crashing. When he was making a speech yesterday and talking about tariffs, in real time, the stock market was doing this. As he was speaking, the stock market was going down, down, down in real time. We don't have the clip, but if you don't believe me, look it up. In real time, as he was speaking, talking about tariffs and stuff, the stock market was, well, you can't say crashing, but was certainly diving, nose diving.
Trump's address quickly derailed by a Democratic congressman from Texas. Before the president began touting what he believes his biggest accomplishments are in just 45 days back in power.
And our country will be woke no longer. I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, which is headed by Elon Musk. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud.
Shouting and waving signs.
Like, I get it. It's a bit naff. I don't think that's terrible. I think that's a photo op. I think that's not, compared to what they could do to actually protest, that's not terrible, Joey.
One of their party members just got frog marched out of the chamber.
Yep.
They should have all gone at that point. Let him do his State of the Union to a half-empty building. This is weak sauce.
Yeah.
This is like my view. There was an excellent speech from, I think, the where's Chicago again?
Illinois.
Wisconsin?
Illinois.
Yeah. Illinois governor, as part of his speech, recited how long it took the Nazi regime to dismantle the German democratic state. And it was months, 3 months, 3.5 months. That's where these guys are at. They just don't realize it yet. And holding up paddles.
Yeah.
And pointing out things that we all know. We know he lies. We know that Musk is on the take.
Yeah, but hang on.
We know that Medicaid's gone.
I actually agree with you. Look, I agree with you. That would have been a much better symbol. I get it. Right. I'm with you. But those boards aren't for us. Those boards are for the people watching on Fox News who has never even been challenged that maybe what he's saying is false. So, yeah, we know that.
There's better ways to do this.
Well, okay.
These guys need to realize that they are not an opposition anymore, that they have to be a resistance.
Yeah. Yep. No, look, I actually agree with you. That way would be better. That would be a better thing. I guess I'm coming at it from if they want to stay in there, this wasn't so bad. But yep, one by one, making the hour 40-minute speech take 6 hours because of being frog marched out. That would have been
It's time to fuck shit up.
Yep.
Like America has a long and proud history of being inconvenient, combative assholes over the smallest things.
Yeah,
this is not a small thing.
Yeah,
like the we've got to be reasonable and respectful and build bridges. You're trying to build bridges with someone that's burning them. Time is gone.
All right, I withdraw and apologize. You're right.
No, you can talk for the. I'm not bullying you.
No, it's fine. You know, the thing I like most of all, it didn't happen to this. Have you seen what the people are calling Teslas now? Swastikas. Yeah, it's brilliant, eh? That's the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. Swastikas. That's fantastic.
Saying false and not true, Democrats fact-checking him in real time in the chamber as the media did the same outside. But this was also the first time the president has spoken since he triggered a global trade war earlier today. The leader of his northern neighbour, Canada, striking back and warning its regular Americans who'll be harmed.
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal. But Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.
That's patronising to his ego, that they got to say, "Oh, you're very good.
Right
you're a very good boy. This is just a bit of a silly idea." And notice how they, you're very smart. You're very smart, and how Trudeau called him Donald, not president. That'll piss him off. That'll piss him off immensely.
And whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax
Genius.
us, we will tax
What
them.
a
We will
brilliant
make it
mind.
Trillions and trillions.
Yeah, but you know what he's trying to do? He's trying to say if they do it to us, we'll do it to them. He's the one that started them all. It's actually the other way around. He's tariffed them, so they're tariffing back. And now he's going, well, if they tariff us back, we're going to tariff you back. It's like, no, you've got it the wrong way around, Orange Man. You're tariffing them and they're responding, but you're making it sound like if they're mean to you, you're going to respond. It's 180, wrong way around.
Billions of dollars. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that.
Trump also doubling down on his own peace
Talk
plan
like a
for
normal person.
By we being okay with that, the little disturbance, what he's saying is the wealthy won't be impacted by it, but you people who are struggling, this is going to really fuck you over.
Ukraine, a day after he pulled the ultimate Trump card, stopping all military aid to Ukraine until they fell in line.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful?
Across the United States, though, there are plenty of Americans not buying into Trump's vision. From San Francisco to outside the Fox News headquarters in New York.
Every decision that is being made is only benefiting the billionaires and Trump and, Putin as well.
Yep.
Trump is convinced his plans for the country will usher in a new golden era for America. Do
you notice the back of his hair there? Kind of coming away slightly. Look as he turns around.
Will usher
Here. Notice that? Lifting off.
I guarantee that with the right tailwind, he would look like the Crypt Keeper.
Yep. Well, that's because what's happened is he put a tariff on China, and China's now put a tariff. He's put a tariff on China, and the imported double-sided tape he uses for his hair is now too expensive for him. So he's basically got to just balance. He has to walk. That's why he was walking funny there. He's got to walk straight. Like, if you're trying to balance a book on your head, you got to stay straight to make sure it doesn't come off. So that's what that is.
in a new golden era for America. How that turns out in reality, no one knows.
All right. There we go. Most commentaries I'm seeing are, I sometimes try and look for the independent commentators, like people who are more centrist, not because that's where I sit, but sometimes you do see, or you're able to hear maybe what both sides might be thinking into a package, because obviously everyone on the right is saying this is the most brilliant speech he's ever been. He needs to be on Mount Rushmore. He needs to be on the $100 bill. He should win the Nobel Peace Prize this year. They have their heads firmly up his orange ass. And everyone on the left is pointing out the truth, how terrible it was and how awful it was. That seems to be the general vibe.
Do you know what fun little fact, the unrelated tangent time, what fun little fact I read today?
I do not.
Historically, the average for an empire lasting is 250 years.
Okay.
When you average them all out and that sort of thing. America, as of this year, is 248 years old.
76. So yeah. Next year will be 250.
TikTok, motherfuckers.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that wasn't a bad little tangent. Any chats and stuff we need to get to? Sorry, I haven't been paying too much attention.
I haven't been looking at the chats because I've been too angry at the Democrats.
Kiwi Bird, any chance of getting Adrian Orr on the show? The email has gone, but of course he's no longer the governor of the Reserve Bank. So how do you contact him? I don't know. That was a strange one, actually. He's, I'll tell you what I think, right? And I have no knowledge of this. Obviously, and I'm not making any accusations or casting any aspersions. When someone says personal reasons, I always think health or family. They're the two things that I always think straight away. Personal reasons means health, a health scare, a health issue, or something to do with the family. So, I'm sure at some stage we'll
and
find
that's
out.
because you're a rational, empathetic human being. Of course, David Seymour saw that and went, "This is my time to make a cheap shot."
Yeah. And bloody Nikki Noboats today, mate. Maybe she wasn't quite putting the knife in, but she certainly wasn't helping remove anything. I wish him well. It was about it. Gold says, we're not politicizing school lunches. We're asking the person in charge of them not to suck at them. Also, #early fee. Is early fee different from a late fee? I don't know how this fee structure works. Peter says, here's $2 for Chewy to upgrade from Windows 95.
Hey, look, that's the perfect operating system, and I will not be taking questions at this time.
The danger of mouse, an idea I heard was tank the stock market, buy low, reverse the tariffs, stock market go up, making money. Imagine, that would actually be something like 3D chess, like they're talking about, or 4D chess, but also imagine if that was true. That's basically the definition of insider trading. Yep. Absolutely criminal.
Just en masse at a governmental level. Look, one of the things that they're talking about, and this is just, of course, bananas as well, but everything is, they are talking about establishing a federal crypto reserve.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of days ago, somebody out there bought $300 million worth of Bitcoin from a couple of different kinds of Ethereum and all of that sort of stuff. And I'm sorry, that just comes out of nowhere this week when someone's talking about a federal crypto reserve. Mental.
The Melulator, Adrian Orr has been pushed, in my opinion. There is something interesting to find out, because apparently there's like a massive meeting with financing people from around the world in New Zealand tomorrow. And he was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And so I don't know what he said, but apparently he was going to be speaking at it and very excited about it. And the day before that happens, I quit. So we all acknowledge that something's happened. But as I said, when I hear those words, personal, I just think health or family. I don't have any clue what it is, though. It could be that, both Luxon and Willis, Labour and National and ACT, opposed his appointment when they were in opposition. So no one's saying that was an easy relationship. It could be that there was something that happened which was the final straw. Don't know. He says he's got inflation back into within the the range that everyone wants it to be. So he thinks he's done his job and he's leaving for personal reasons. We'll see. We will find out. It'll come out. Starfish, $2 upgrade from Windows 95. That's Windows 98. SE money.
Look, if everybody could get off my nuts now, that'd be great. I'm at capacity.
Ihaka for $50. My goodness, Ihaka, that's an incredibly generous super chat. Trump dismantling the US empire from within. Thanks, Donnie. Yeah, I think when you say Trump, we need to have, how like celebrities have joined names? Like you'd put together Taylor Swift and whatever her boyfriend's name is, Kelsey Travis, and whatever happens. There's got to be one for Trump and Elon, surely. Delon. Musk and Trump. Mump. There you go. Mump. That works. I quite like Mump for those guys. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that super chat. Ihaka, very generous. All right. Are we ready to go on school lunches?
Not the current school lunches. I'll wait. Thank you.
You don't want any? Well, let's see if anybody does. This is a really interesting story, actually, because, there are some school lunches going out which kids are enjoying and are going okay. The government is kind of trying to go, there's the odd issue each day. Yeah, but then there's the odd issue every day, each day somewhere. And we did the numbers the other day. And when they were like at a 95% capacity, I think we worked out to be something like 14,000 kids a day. Saying 95% is a pretty good outcome. But when that equals, thousands of children, maybe not so much. The interesting thing about this is I started watching the story and I was like, oh, this is okay. We've got a good news story. And then we find out, even though the kids were enjoying the meals, what actually happened at the school. And one of the things that we're finding out now, Chewy, is the amount of money that schools are having to spend to basically become the deliverers of the food. Under all the previous systems, obviously if they were volunteers doing it in the school, they'd just take them to the classrooms. Or if it was a professional company like a caterer, local, they would sort it out. They would do all the cleaning. They would do everything. All of that is now falling onto the shoulders of the school, and not to bury. In fact, if you haven't seen the story, principal in the story says how much he's spending per week on having people or person to deal with these lunches. If you haven't seen it, have a guess in the chat. I won't spoil it. Have a guess in that. You have a guess, Chewy? How much do you think that principals, so school lunches, so they're not there for a whole day, but how much do you think schools are having to find to deal with school lunches? What's your guess?
God, I wouldn't have a clue.
All right.
Like over what time period?
Well, they're there to people who are just there, per week to handle the school lunches. Obviously, they're going to receive them, they're going to deliver them, and they're going to clean them up afterwards. You have a think.
That's like 4 full-time wages.
Okay, well, let's just go and have a look. Here we go.
Kimano, welcome back. The Education Minister is still waiting for answers from David Seymour over issues with the school lunch program.
Did you get that? Erica's still waiting. She's still waiting. The Minister is still waiting.
The cut price scheme has been described by some as a false economy because schools are now having to fork out for extra staff and clean-up costs. Here's senior political reporter Benedict Collins.
At Papatoetoe High School, they quite like their school lunches.
Not only is the food nice and hot, but you get a good balance of everything, like meat, sauce, cheese and pasta from the lasagna.
But today, a big hiccup, hundreds were missing.
When we opened the boxes.
So there you go. Kids like the lunches, hundreds missing. I think they say 300 missing. Food was okay today. Delivery, not so much.
And counted them and realised there weren't 300 lunches, we were 300 short.
And an added burden, now schools are having to hire people to distribute the lunches and clean up afterwards. Under the previous model, providers did this for them.
We've got to receive those lunches, redistribute them, and then receive all those boxes back and give them a clean out and sort out the rubbish, admin and all of that sort of stuff.
Diverting money that should be spent on teaching kids.
It's costing me about $1,500 to $2,000 a week.
Did you get that, Whānau? $1,500 to $2,000 per week. That is the best part of $6,500 to $8,500 per month. That's been taken away and out of classrooms and out of activities for kids. All of those things is going away. The system is is not operating, not functioning in schools as the last system was, and now it's costing them. That principle between $1,500 and $2,000 a week, Chewy. A week. Any words, or would you like to boil over at the end?
Well, I'm on a pretty ferocious simmer at the moment.
Yeah. All right. We'll keep going.
Another problem the government's aware of.
Well, that's certainly a concern that's been raised with me, and we're working through that with the schools.
Having to deal with rubbish that they're having to then dispose of, cleaning products that they hadn't had to purchase in the past, and also staffing issues. That has been something that's been raised.
Erica Stanford's been trying to meet with David Seymour to get some answers. Yesterday, he stood her up. How about today?
We had a meeting scheduled for this evening, but our diaries didn't quite work out.
We'll get to it. It's just a very busy week.
Do you not see it as a priority?
Well, to be honest, they've got a lot of priorities.
Labor thinks David Seymour.
There you go. There's the dismissive nature. So no then. But I'm going to go back to the breakfast show from this morning and give you a bit more.
Seymour's being disrespectful.
As an Associate Minister of Education, he is still answerable to Erica Stanford as the Minister.
That's not what he thought when interviewed on Breakfast this morning.
Could you tell us what the plan is moving forward? What are you going to tell her?
Well, first of all, it's not entirely her concern.
I think we're all concerned about school lunches, making sure that we are getting a good service to the right child at the right time.
A minister adamant he's the right man to get on top of the problems. Benedict Collins, One News.
There you go, Chewy. Part one. So, yeah, I think someone pointed out yesterday, one of you lovely chatters, but these problems weren't happening under the last system. So why are they happening under yours? And what I want someone to ask Luxon, actually, because Luxon's been going on about, oh, you know, we're getting on top of it. We're getting on top of it. It's coming together. We're getting on top of it. I want to know, at what point do you revert back, break the contract, or fire Seymour? Like if it's June and we've still got these problems, like where is the line to go, I no longer have faith in this minister? Like where is it? Because if it was December, you wouldn't have faith. Right now you say, I don't believe you, but you say you've got faith. Whereabouts between now and Christmas do you finally go, yep, he can't do this, let's get someone else? Shall we?
These guys, and I know I'm going to get shit for saying this. The general assumption is that if you're someone that gets to the point of being one of our politicians, our leaders, to these very, very high positions, that you've got at least a bit of a brain, just a little bit. Did they not think about this? Did they not think about the mechanics involved in delivering a shit ton of food and handing it out to kids? Did they not factor that in at all? Never. Nobody brought it up.
Well,
nobody thought it would be a factor.
I think the evidence would say they didn't. I mean, that's what we said about them. It's the same as the ferries. They went, we're going to do this new thing. It's going to be better. What are the logistics? How are we going to get those food to the kids? Obviously, Compass doesn't have the capacity to do it, or they'd be doing it. So they've made a change. They've brought in a new system before they've actually worked the system out. And I think the evidence for that is in the stories we're having every single day from multiple locations all around the country.
It's bizarre, and I just want to think that somebody out there has a bit of a logistical brain and can get ahead of these problems before they started. We're at a point now where Seymour seems to get pissy about constantly being asked about the program that he put in place and that is failing across the country. Every day there is a photo posted of today's lunch looking like it's come out of some sort of eldritch horror in a warehouse somewhere. Don't worry, people, it's Soylent brown, or it's burnt, or it's late, or they're literally missing hundreds of meals. And it's this inconsistency. I spoke about this last night when Luxon was talking about make a Marmite sandwich. Why would you make a Marmite sandwich if you're going to get lunch at school? And if you make a Marmite sandwich, if you spend your own money and your own food that you've bought and you send your kid to school with that, and a lunch turns up, what happens to the taxpayer-funded lunch? It gets thrown out. Somebody's getting fucked on that. It doesn't matter how cheap this is. The program as a whole is poor value. We are paying taxpayer money to big corporations that just can't seem to organize a gangbang in a brothel. I realize that analogy is not great when we're talking about lunch for schools, but we're going to roll with it. You know, the clear benefits of the other program that was more expensive, sure, but were we getting value? Yes. Something can have a higher price tag and still be good value because it's low wastage, it's more nutritious, it's using local produce, local producers, it's handled in-house, like it has a shorter tail. Or we can go lowest common denominator, like 85-cent meals with a markup. Some kids get their lunch today, some kids don't. Some kids can eat them. Some kids get burnt. Some kids get butter chicken 12 days in a row. Some kids have to eat burnt plastic. Like there's nothing that suggests that this program is good value, even at that low cost.
Yeah. Let's also now focus in on Mr. Seymour because the heading for the story talks about great
freeze frame.
This is O-face, bro. Davey Seymour, asking people to stop politicizing school lunches. Now, I actually end on, I'm not going to get the context for where he ends, but I wanted you to, because we were going to play more of this clip, but kind of the news stories covered it. So I just wanted you to hear him talking about politicizing. He does say it a couple of times in this like 2-minute clip, but he's like, they're just politicizing it. Unions are just politicizing it. Everyone's just politicizing it. Won't somebody think of the children? He never does that because we're not thinking of the children. We're thinking of the bottom line. But I wanted you to see a bigger and more context how dismissive he's being of his minister, Erica Stanford. It's pretty repulsive.
So I don't think that argument really stacks up. And again, to me, it points to politicisation.
Again.
Mr. Luxon has said that you're well aware of the issues and challenges, but he's got every confidence you'll fix it. Erica Stanford didn't go quite as far as to express any confidence yesterday. Have you had that chance to have the meeting with the minister yet?
No, look, I mean, ultimately, I'm the one who's been put in charge of this, and I'm going about...
Let me do some translating. I don't need to talk to her. I'm in charge of lunches.
About the business, I've briefed other ministers.
I've talked to other people. Why would I talk to her?
Including Erica. I did that on Monday.
We talked on Monday, although you recall the conversation on Monday was about a Tuesday meeting. So they've talked on Monday, but the first standing up was Tuesday. And then there was a standing up today. So don't be confused. Oh yeah, they said they were going to meet the other day. No. The other day was Tuesday when Erica said that she'd called for him to be met. But Seymour wants to know that we met on Monday.
And I will get to meeting with her too.
I'll get to her when I get around to it.
So dismissive.
She said she's going to want to know what the plan is moving forward. Could you tell us what the plan is moving forward? What are you going to tell her?
Well, first of all, it's not entirely her concern, but I'll be happy to be.
How about that? It's not entirely her concern. The minister who's in charge of this portfolio, this big balls up that I'm doing. It's I mean, could I make a really misogynistic joke right now in saying that that's how he's coming across? I probably could. Oh, it's not her concern. She's got other things to worry about, Chewy, like puppies and babies and knitting and stuff. It sounds so dismissive.
Her concern, but I'll be happy to be candid with anyone who asks. We have some operational problems.
Hang on, sorry. I'll be happy to be candid with anyone who asks, except Erica Stanford in an appropriate amount of time.
We're asking.
Well, first of all,
he can come and talk to us.
It's not entirely her concern, but I'll be happy to be candid with anyone who asks. We have some operational problems. I'm meeting frequently with the people who are involved, and it's a case of continuous improvement. What we have in place is actually largely working. It's dealing with these exceptions that pop up in the media.
We said this yesterday. Sorry, Mr. Seymour, you don't get grace for the exceptions because under the last system, we weren't getting these exceptions. So you don't get to say, well, it's going to be a 3-month, 4-month, 5-month bed in because you've started something new. You have to be at least as good as the last lot. Remember, better food, cheaper. You have to be at least as good as the one you cancelled on day one or revert back to what was happening. We're not giving you grace to getting up to speed. It's not appropriate.
That we need to do, and we are doing that day by day.
There's... Rebecca Lessels, who we had on from NZEI, said that she would like to see Erica Stanford put in charge of the school lunch program. Do you feel like you've got the confidence of those around you and you're doing a good enough job that you should continue on with this?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've discussed this with other ministers in the government. They understand the situation. They're happy with the job that I'm doing.
Other ministers, but not Erica. Not the minister in charge, other ministers. Those ones with penises. Those ones. Talked with them, but not Erica. Why? Why won't you be brought to task by Erica Stanford? Why won't you do what is the appropriate thing, I'm sure, within the cabinet handbook as well? When the lead minister calls you for a meeting, why won't you go? I mean, what are the reasons? Is it arrogance? Is it misogyny? What is it? Chewy?
He's a leader. He's a party leader. He was acting prime minister not too long ago. Do you not remember, Pat? It is beneath him. These lunches are beneath him. These questions from the pesky media are way beneath him. The public can get fucked. Who cares? Why Why are we surprised about this? The minister who thinks the government shouldn't keep people alive because the cost is too high. Why did people think that this lunch program was going to be anything but an abortion? That's the only thing that makes sense. He's the minister for ruining this particular program. The state has no role in this. That is his view, as he pretends to be a libertarian and not a reactionary fucktard.
The minister for ruining things. I quite like that. Might be a t-shirt in that. Minister for ruining things.
Has he touched a single thing that has become better after he's touched it?
Yeah.
Or is he a reverse King Midas?
Interesting. The gold gets turned to what though? Back to lead?
Shit.
Right, this has got
Shit.
20 seconds.
It turns into a compass meal, a burnt compass meal.
With plastic imbued in it. 20 seconds. Here we go.
When I hear from the unions, let's be really honest about this. These are not teachers. These are the union organisers. These are the professional unionists who are sort of verging on politics.
But just remember,
it's the unions.
But the teachers are saying the same things. So if he wants to dismiss the unions' comments because they're unions, okay, whatever. The teachers are all saying the same thing, Mr. Seymour. So you can't ignore the context of what's being said if everyone's saying it. Oh, Hitler had a problem with school lunches, so we don't think they're necessary.
Just to be very clear, because again, talking about Trump not understanding tariffs, it seems that David Seymour doesn't understand how unions work either. So let's put it in a term that he will understand. I think he gets hooked up on the fact that the union representatives trying to talk to him. They're not. They're teachers' lobbyists.
Yeah, well, there you go.
From the teachers industry. And we like lobbyists, don't we, Seymour? You've got a couple in your party. They don't call it the firearms union or the tobaccoists union, but
or
it's
the taxpayers union. Oh, hang on. Sorry. No, they do. Okay,
good. How did I leave that on the shelf? Perfect assist. Boom. It's exactly the thing. He's so dismissive of unions. Unions are just representatives for the people that they come together. It's in an industry. Yeah. They're lobbyists. They'll hate me saying that. But that's the only way that Seymour's going to get it. Somebody's knocking on your door for the teachers' lobby.
Yeah, there you go. All right, this has only got 10 seconds. We'll try our best to get to the end.
Politicians themselves playing politics, so they're entitled to a view. I'm glad they've been on your show, but at the end of the day, that's the union view, and they're playing politics.
There you go. They were trying to get that politics.
Imagine that, Pat. A union playing politics. If you have an opinion on something, you're playing politics, and I'm going to say that in a way that belittles you. The only people that are allowed to play politics, Pat, is David Seymour with his politics playset that he's had since he was 12. What a dismissive... Oh, no, okay, I'm going to take a quote from Jacinda Ardern. What an arrogant prick. She was right then, she's right now, and she's going to be right, mark my words, forever.
In the chat, Mr. Arvids comes up with our joint name for Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Elump. That's not bad. Quite works. Roger says, see a
doctor for that.
I recall Jan Tanetti said she did a survey and some schools are still using the old program, and that's where much of the positive feedback was coming from, i.e. for school lunches. Chad says 1,000 schools, 8,000 a month per month, 10 months, $80 million out of the budget.
So Seymour keeps on mentioning that he gets good feedback. Laughably, he says he gets that from students. Like students look him up and hit him up on his LinkedIn. I assume not his Snapchat. Maybe he's learned that lesson. They'll reach out to him and tell him how good the meals are and how thankful they are. That does not have the ring of truth. And every time he's brought it up, nobody's pushed him to produce proof. It has big, my girlfriend goes to another school, you haven't met her energy. He is lying.
All right. One more chat in here from Cal. Cal says he doesn't want to increase the popularity of the next potential Nat leader, and he definitely doesn't want her or anyone fixing the lunches. Her being the next leader, I'm taking a good call there. That's, I guess, the other thing. Like we're talking about, is Trump trying to crash the market to buy low to grow the market, the stock market? What about is Seymour trying to crash the right and make Luxon look even more feckless than he really is, to then double his party stronghold on the right for the next election? Is that what this game is? I mean, imagine if they had 20 MPs. And Labor, National had 30 or 35. It's a far different
I don't
weight.
know about that, eh? Like, I'm not. Okay, this could be echo chamber, leftist derangement syndrome. I don't know, but can we actually look at something that is on the ACT side of things that is going well? Like this, that their supporters will go, yes, I like this policy and it is progressing nicely, thank you.
Yeah, but that's not what ACT supporters want. ACT supporters want, fuck these kids, get rid of the school lunches. They want to get rid of. So they're seeing themselves as the, this National Party is still too woke. We need harder lines than what they're doing.
And
so
they
don't need to get a good. They don't need to get a good result to get more power. They need to be pissy with the other guy's results. If you're pissy with National or you're pissy with New Zealand First, then you go to ACT. That's what they could be doing.
But he's doing this via incompetence. He's not doing it by debating us in the marketplace of ideas that the state's role is not to feed people. So I don't know. I don't have enough people that vote ACT to actually check in.
Yeah, but you have to remember as well, we can't trust an ACT voter to sit the right way on a toilet seat. So maybe they're not going to go through the process of, this has got 3% illogic in it. They're just going to be, no woke, Luxon too woke, ACT. And remember as well, people who vote ACT in general are wealthier, because it's hard to be a libertarian on no money. There are people out there, we've heard from them, but it's harder to be a libertarian with no money. It's easier to be a libertarian when you have money, because that by definition gives you choice. So that sector as well, who will have money, who will support ACT, will then also want the tax breaks and their money back. So you've got kind of a double kick there of we want more austerity for the poor because we want more of our money back, and we also want the woke tards to all be put in their place. And that Luxon, he's looking more and more every day like one of them. That's who their voting base is.
Slight tangent. I just remembered an interaction I did have with an ACT voter. So pedestrian crossings, right?
Yeah.
White lines painted on the road indicate a place that you can cross safely. People legally have to stop for you.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm sure you will agree, a gross invasion of privacy by the state.
100%.
It's an overreach. Here in Dunedin, we also have a particularly confusing piece of infrastructure called a courtesy crossing. Now, it is not painted like a pedestrian crossing. It is just a raised, almost like a speed bump, where a lot of people cross between a main shopping area and a mall. And generally, you don't have to stop, but people do. Right? If they see people waiting at the side of the road, they'll stop, and then you can cross safely. Courtesy, empathy, human connection, very important. I was using this courtesy crossing the other day. I was halfway across, and had I not leapt out of the way, I would have got clipped by a car. I had enough time to go, what the fuck are you doing? And smacking his rear passenger side window with my fist. I gave it an almighty thump. And he screeched to the side of the road, haphazardly parked, and jumped out of his car to pursue me. Now, in that moment, as I walked away going, oh shit, I noticed he had an axe stick on his bumper. And I was yes. This is all starting to track now. So yeah, how dare a pedestrian try to exist in the same space that was made for that particular, not all cars, that man's particular car.
Did he look like he was moneyed in the car he was driving?
He did not. He looked angry and old and white.
Oh, it's good enough.
So I guess that tracks.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Some messages that have come in, or messages come in from Vanda. According to the stats, average voter for ACT is a white male.
It was that man.
It was him. White male,
the average
and 49 years old. I would have thought older than 49.
Look, chat, I want you to do this for me, right? If it turns out that I get killed somehow, and I don't care whether it's my own stupidity, like I walk off a cliff or something, I want you all to run to the press and say that an ACT voter killed me. And describe him with that. Like it was a 49-year-old white man.
Driving aggressively with an ACT bumper sticker on the back of his car.
Yeah. Literally chased him down a field and pushed him off a cliff.
Let's get into the last story of the night. Now, a couple of things here, Fano. I already know that there's going to be some grumpy people because we've got a particular melting amount of pancake batter about to be put on the screen and the voice that goes with it. Equally,
that skin that forms on the custard when you leave it
equally, they are talking about some issues in society, and they're talking about them from a pretty gross way, dismissive way, xenophobic, you might say, way. So I'm just giving you a
here we go.
I'm just giving you a heads up that if you don't feel like hearing some kind of angles around some gender issues that may annoy you or upset you, you can exit now if you want. I guess that's called a trigger warning. Is that right? I don't know. I don't think I've ever done one of those before. So this is the story. Chewy, you were off fixing your computer when I said this. I wasn't entirely, I'm a bit crook today, right? So you have the lovely Emily with you tomorrow night. I saw this story and I went, that's a really interesting conversation, but I don't know if we're really set up to have it tonight. But I was like, I'm not feeling very well, so this will do for the last story. So this might end up being just an interesting kind of chill conversation about what's going on, and then we may get back into it on another night. So basically, there is a group who have employed lawyers to send letters to ministers and to entities that work in gender care areas.
Oh, cool.
And what it sounds like is the lawyers' letters are basically going, just between me and you. Yeah, you better be a bit careful around these things. Like, it has this feeling, honest held belief, lawyers, of a bit of a shakedown. You know, it's like, and I've put in the title, it's a slap suit. It's not a slap suit. I am being hyperbolic for sure, because a slap suit implies that you're bringing legal action just to cause the person financial harm. It's not that, but it's sort of, I don't know quite how to describe it. Maybe that's why I'm kind of giving this introduction and saying I don't know if we're at the right time to actually talk about this. But let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to the conversation. I've got a few things to show you as well. And yeah, we can chat about this now, and then we can maybe revisit it as this goes on.
All right. Who did you write to, and what did you write to them saying?
We wrote first to the ministers, it's now 3 ministers.
Sorry, by the way, Stephen Franks, former ACT MP, lawyer with, is it called Franks Ogilvy, something like that, his company?
We wrote first to the ministers, it's now 3 ministers, in mid-January, saying that we'd been instructed to look at the risks to professionals who are involved in what they call gender-affirming care.
So we wrote to the ministers to instruct them that we're going to have a look at the individuals involved in gender-affirming care. So lawyers' letters to ministers of the Crown saying, we're going to take a look at this. You know what I mean by it feels like a bit sort of shots across the bow, so to speak? Like, what?
Yeah,
you can have a look at whatever you want. Why are we informing the ministers about this?
In view of the Cass report, essentially, the UK government commissioned report that looked at...
Which is being hugely discredited, by the way, the Cass report. Yeah, anyway, that's a debate for another night, maybe.
Whether there was evidence enough to justify the harm that's caused by many of the gender-affirming care treatments, but in particular,
Well, gender,
puberty
look, it's
blockers.
such a bad word to use. It's not gender affirming at all. It's gender denying.
Yeah.
Anyway, who's asked you to look at this, Stephen?
The client is Inflection Point New Zealand. It's an organisation of mostly parents of children. It's a conservative organisation.
Okay.
No shit, there's the most obvious statement there. So Inflection Point New Zealand, these guys. This is Inflection Point New Zealand. Now, you know, they've held a conference way back in the day. I think it might have even been somewhere like at Te Papa or something.
Look
like
at
that
the
from memory.
speakers. Look at the speakers.
Look at the speakers. Ones we know of: Kelly Jane, Bob McCoskrie, Brian Tamaki, Simon
Save
O'Connor,
women's sports.
the Landy sisters. So there is, and this lady here, Catherine Schuer, she's interesting because she seems to be, because they won't, we're going to get to a bit with Stephen Franks, he won't actually talk about who's behind this, like who are Inflection Point. But this lady here, Catherine Schuer, and I have no knowledge of how deep she is, but she has been their spokesperson in the past, and she is someone who seems to be intrinsically intertwined with Inflection Point as well. So back to the conversation.
Is it aligned to any other existing group or political group in New Zealand?
I don't know.
The answer is yes. It's that Let Women Speak. It's that whole world of that group of people.
I haven't seen any indication that it is, but when
And
we
who
were...
leads Inflection Group?
I'm not going to say.
Well,
trans
hang on,
people
Stephen,
are-
I just want to hold you on here. I've been instructed by people, a group called Inflection Group, but I'm not going to say who they are. I'm already
Well, that's
saying
up to
that
them.
this feels a bit dodgy.
Well, they're the clients. If they don't want to be named, but I can understand their reasons. The opposition has been hysterical. The threats to me. If you go on social media, you say that people want to cut off my arms, stuff Savaloys up my nose. There's a whole lot of genuine.
No one should be threatened. No one should be threatened online. But I do wonder how stuffing Savaloys up one's nose can be taken anything other than laughed at. I'm going to stuff Savaloys up your nose.
Listen here, Cockachompi. If you want a threat, I'll give you a threat.
No.
I'm going to break in. No. I am going to leave sausages. I am going to leave sausages in that man's house that will leave him confused.
I am actually kind of going, that's why I'm being a bit careful. We are talking about lawyers and lawyers taking cases. So we're just going to have honest held beliefs and not be too silly about this one.
Hysterical rage from those whose
So
cult
you've written
beliefs
to the
are
ministers.
challenged.
Who else did you write to warning or saying, look, we are looking into this. We just want to make you aware of it?
Again, why would you write to the ministers in your role as a lawyer to say, hey, ministers, we're looking at something? When I say I have an honest held belief, it feels a bit like a shakedown. It's like they don't. Well, go and do your investigation. Why do you want to have a piece of paper from a lawyer's office go across that minister's desk? What's the purpose of that?
Wrote to the organisation, the professionals that call themselves PATHA, P-A-T-H-A, who are the guidance group for these specialists. We wrote to, I think, 16 practices. I don't know how many individual practitioners that would involve. And we've also written to insurers, medical insurers, just advising them that this could take the path, and looks likely to me to take the path that previous medical scandals have taken, where what people just accepted as ordinary practice is suddenly revealed to have been brutal and useless.
All right. Okay. What is your hope by sending this letter, that people will stop providing this care?
Well, the clients hope that they will, I'm sure, but...
So why send it to the ministers? If you want a particular group, this is, again, it feels like a warning shot across the ministers' bows. And you know what ministers this is going to? This is what I was saying to you about the national ministers who are too woke for some of these guys. These letters won't be going to Labour parties. They're going to ministers, which means they're going to National Party ministers, because there are many on the further right who are seeing the National Party as too woke for the right side of politics. And so these letters from lawyers are going to government ministers who are in the same political spectrum as these people, but they're not being hard enough on them. I think we're probably done with that, actually. But so this is the thing, yeah. So this is Inflection Point. And Stephen Franks wouldn't say who the clients' names were, which is bizarre, because if you go and have a look around under, Inflection Point, like, as I said earlier, Catherine Chua seems to be someone. I'm not suggesting that Catherine Chua is the person behind the employment of the lawyers, but her name seems to be pretty heavily, involved in press releases and that kind of stuff, the person. And if you have a look at what she's all about, as you would expect, Elon Musk in there, Annie O'Brien, Stephen Franks, just that's the feed, whatever her name is, Corona Shields. I always find it intriguing when people echo Elon Musk's voice talking about gender affirming care. What they don't seem to be aware of is, that hair transplant he got, that hair transplant that Elon got, that's gender affirming care. Do you know those breast implants that women get, perhaps women involved with Elon Musk? That's gender affirming care. That is helping yourself feel more the gender you are, more masculine. So Elon Musk is someone who has been the recipient of gender affirming care, and he spends half his time going off about gender affirming care. Bizarre.
That's not the only gender affirming care he's had.
Is that chest implants or something?
Yeah. No. The other day, she's deleted the tweet now, but Azalea Banks tweeted out that Elon had a botched penis implant.
Oh my gosh.
And Grimes commented on it. And I have never laughed so much in my life because it just tracks. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's gender affirming care. Like it's just ridiculous. These guys these groups, entire groups, spinning up to counter trans people. Like, it just seems to be a lot of money and a lot of effort targeted at not very many people, and certainly not any people with power who are just trying to live their life. And it is something that we have done before. Last time round, it was gay people. And now we look back at that and go, oh, what backwards times those were. I can't believe that was even a thing. It's just yuck. All of it is yuck. Like, what are these people about? They're so focused on someone's genitals and how somebody else feels about themselves. Just stay in your lane. Live your own life. If you don't want to transition to another gender, don't. It doesn't affect you at all. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Yep, Grimes told me this too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I feel like we're probably a bit ahead of the story. Not like breaking news, but it probably needs a lot more unpacking. But when I just heard the conversation that the law society, the law office, the firm that Stephen Franks has is sending letters to ministers in particular, informing them to be aware that they're doing some investigations on gender affirming care outlets. I'm just like, this, at what point does like lobbying or does just sort of a gentle, sort of a persuasive turn into, if you guys don't come on board? I'm not suggesting it's at that point now, but where is the line between like, we're going to do this own thing and just, it just feels a bit weird. It feels a bit, the whole subject matter feels a bit icky, but the way they're doing it also just feels a bit bizarre.
It feels borderline threatening, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but it feels somewhere in that Venn diagram. Like it's like just letting.
It's on its way there.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. You might want to know for the future. I'm just letting you know.
Just letting you know that I've taken note of your position on this, and maybe things change, and maybe this puts you on some sort of other list later down the track.
Maybe you'll be available to meet
3.0.
Maybe we can meet with you at some stage, and you can see some of our research. Maybe don't know. We don't want to make any assertions tonight, but it does feel a bit icky and a bit weird, and I guess that's it for tonight with that one. But I'll keep an eye on that. I think we should keep an eye on that. Mr. Arvid says, Elon is a laminated face. Ollie is a custard film face. Custard film face. Wombing lawyers being vigilantes because they can. Rawari says testosterone for gym bros equals gender affirming care. Correct. Hair transplants for balding bros equals gender affirming care. Yep. Vasectomies for don't want no baby bros equals gender affirming care. Yeah. That's why when people talk about it, they're like, okay, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it all. ACT supporter. ACT is not a fan of school lunches because they think people relying on government for support makes them lazy and weak. Yes, it's dumb, says Kiwi Bird. It's in the ballot. How would ACT voters cope with shared spaces like Bond Street in Wellington with a 10 kilometre per hour speed limit if courtesy crossings in use are inconvenient? And Daniel says, sounds like Bob McCoxson's work. Yeah, we don't know who's behind it, and I'll just make it clear again that person's name, Catherine Chuhoi mentioned, not suggesting she's the person, but I did a bit of research. You can go to the Wayback Machine and start looking at websites, previously, and that Inflection Point 1 doesn't really have anything other, like that front page is all it's been for its whole life. It's never been anything else. And there is a name registered to the domain who owns the domain, but I think it's probably not a real name. It's hard to see anything of it, to find out who's behind it. But we're I'm interested to keep an eye on that, because I'm also interested to see how government handles that. Like how well a government who is maybe getting lent on by a lobby group via lawyers, will they go, fuck off? Or they go, oh no, you should come inside and exclusive brethren, we should ever talk to you about things, and whoever the group is, because that's pretty freaky as well. If they were then given any kind of credence, that would be worrying as well, Chewy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, as I said earlier, team, I'm not 100% tonight. I'm a little bit under the weather, so we're going to call it a night there. We've done 3 stories. I think it's pretty good. Is there anything you want to wrap up with? Anything from the chat before we head off, Chewy?
Not from the. Do I have anything in the chat? No, I don't think I have anything in the chat. There was something I wanted to talk about, but I believe that I have lost it.
Oh dear, that's a shame.
Yeah. Oh no, I found it.
Oh, damn it.
This is kind of just a side comment. It was something that I was discussing with a couple of friends the other day. Chat, this is a question for you. Have you noticed the absolute flood of online gambling ads lately? Radio, TV, online streaming platforms, YouTube, Betcha, and TAB ads, fucking everywhere.
Interesting.
Like, I mean, it's been bad since Christmas, but it is just unrelenting at the moment, and I don't know if it's related to, has there been a change in legislation on how you can advertise this sort of thing, because it's crazy, and I abhor gambling. I've never been a gambler. It can't be the algorithm.
Do you know, can I give you a suggestion? There is plenty of research out there out of America that goes, when times are toughest, the sale of guns and alcohol go up. I would also suspect when times are toughest, gambling goes up, because people maybe can't see another way out. If you're seeing these things, I don't listen to the radio, so if you're hearing them on the radio and seeing them in mainstream places, I wouldn't be surprised if they were being used by mainstream media, as well as other media at the moment, to pad up their advertising budgets, because You know, the house always wins. They have huge amounts of money, and maybe there's lots of gaps in mainstream advertising that they can pick up on at the moment. On top of, it wouldn't surprise me if the research also said when times are tough, gambling is more prevalent. So it could be like a perfect storm.
And look, there's lots of people in the chat agreeing with me. They've seen it everywhere. And yes, you're right to suggest ad blockers and that sort of thing. That's great on a PC, on a phone or a TV, on a radio. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It just seems to be like a full court press at the moment of let's get better in front of people. And I have reported those ads. I said, you know, it's a sensitive subject. I don't want to see it, or all of that sort of thing. YouTube's reporting thing does nothing. Like, it does nothing. It keeps serving me gambling ads. And I wonder for people that maybe they've been problem gamblers or that sort of thing, that sort of message that you can't get rid of must be crushing. Yeah. And it just seems like it's never been this bad since like before Christmas. It feels like some sort of legislation has changed and opened up the floodgates, or it's like you said, Pat, like advertisers are thin on the ground, and the betting companies have certainly got money.
Let's do a little test, because you know how Google's always listening. I'm going to Google something right now, and we'll see if we get some gambling adverts pop up, because I don't get what you're getting. What's something that I can generically look at my search engine? Elon Musk, hair before and after.
Elon Musk, penis implant. The algorithm's going to love you.
Let's Google places to eat in Auckland. To eat. Let's see what I get in my side. That'll do. In Auckland, it finds it. Now, where are my adverts? Oh, I've got a blocker on. That's not going to help, is it? Pause on this side and do a refresh. See if we get any adverts. Not going to get any. That's done nothing, is it? No. Is that again?
You know, like I quite often get them, like if I'm watching YouTube on my TV, like the served ads there. TV3, well, TVNZ and TV3 streaming apps, same sort of thing. The ads that are in there are always betting ones. We'll see the same ad fucking 4 times in one program. It's crazy.
I just realised as well, you know how a few months ago Vosh had that thing where he opened up a thing online and it revealed some pretty horrific images and some things he was into? It's lucky I'm not into that kind of stuff, and I just showed my whole freaking Google search history. Although Elon Musk penis implant, Wayback Machine, Inflection Point, you can see I've been doing research. Domain who is, Catherine Chua, Inflection Point. Who's behind Inflection Point New Zealand? That's kind of lucky. So I obviously did all the porn this morning, and this afternoon I did all the normal searching. So I only got the last 10 things, which was lucky. Phew. Lucky me.
And the other wee thing that I mentioned, since we were talking about what good thing has David Seymour ever done, he did bring back pseudoephedrine. Have you seen the latest stats on meth?
It's pretty high.
It is extremely high. As are, I assume, the end users of that pseudoephedrine. So yeah, cool. Like it's played out exactly like everybody said it would. Yes, we've got better cold meds, but yeah, much more meth in the wastewater sampling.
All right, team. Thank you for tonight. Emily will be with you tomorrow night, Chewy, taking you through your last night of the week. I will be off, and I hopefully will be in bed having a rest, and studying. I've done no study this week from my Te Māori course. Monday, man, I was so out of place, so I think I'll probably be studying most of tomorrow. I felt like a complete moron. So I'll get onto some of that tomorrow. And other than that, I'll be back Monday night from 9. Chewy will be back tomorrow night with Emily. And then it'll be Magenta and Emily on Friday night taking you guys through.
Seymour in you.
never settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together, for better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in, as many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of, like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can't afford, and the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All have a lean either this way or that, and will be analyzed by what you impact. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
And just because I missed them, I apologise. Howie says, this community gives me hope. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Thanks to you, Howie. And Vanda says, Franks is also the lawyer for Hobson's plea.
Oh! Multi-denominational dirtbag.
All right, guys. Cheerio. We'll see you tomorrow night with Emily. I'll see you on Monday night from 9 for another edition of Big Hairy News. Be safe through the weekend. We want to see you all back on Monday night. And other than that, that's it for me. I will catch you guys anon. Hooroo from me.
Cheers, fam.